Hi YouTube, welcome to another edition of Horror Hands, and for this video I'm going to be going through my top 10 guilty pleasures. And this is a response to Renee, who started this as a tag. He went through his guilty pleasures and asked everyone else to show theirs. So check out Renee, he's a cool guy. He does some really good countdown videos. And his videos all last around 30 seconds, so they're very short and sweet, don't take up much time, but they're really entertaining. So, these are my top 10 favourite guilty pleasures. And the way I categorise these is I've selected films that are either, they don't demonstrate the finest of filmmaking finesse, and or they're not really very critically acclaimed or talked about, that kind of thing, but I really enjoy them. So the first movie is Island of the Fishmen. I have fond memories of watching this with my horror dad. I thought it was amazing, he thought it was okay, but I just love trashy monster films, and the trashier the film is and the more fake the monster looks, is a good thing for me. I just love that kind of thing. So when I got round to watching this, and I love monsters that come out of the water, so this for me was like the perfect concoction of a film. I really enjoy it. So that's my number 10. Number 9 is Sherlock, John Landis's first film. Very amateurish, very silly. Tries to be funny and actually isn't all that funny, but is funny because of that, if that makes sense. I know a lot of people don't like this one, but I do kind of see the charm in it. I see the lightheartedness and I can appreciate it for that. And I had a good time whilst I was watching this. It made me smile. So that's my number 9. Number 8 is Rampage, so sort of going back to like the monster movie type stuff. This one's more of a modern spin on things, a lot of over-the-top CGI, a lot of cities getting destroyed, but I love that kind of thing, and I really love the creatures in this. I love The Rock. He brings a kind of his own brand of charm to these movies, and this is just one of those that you can just take your brain out and enjoy all the crazy giant monster action and seeing cities get destroyed and things like that. Total like popcorn movie for me. I really enjoy it. So that is number 8. Number 7 is a very similar type film, but I didn't want to leave it off the list, and that's The Meg. Same reason as Rampage really, just I love the over-the-top giant monster action. This time you've got Jason Statham, who brings his own kind of style to the film. I saw this at the cinema and really enjoyed it, and again it's just one of those kind of mindless popcorn movies. I love my shark movies too, so anything about a giant shark going around causing a load of trouble is great. So that's number 7. Right, number 6 is the American version of Godzilla, and I know this gets a ton of hate. People really look down on this one. I've always enjoyed this one. I always thought it was really cool from the moment it was released. It was a really awesome movie. I know a lot of people don't like the Americanization of it. They don't like the how Godzilla looks different in this, but it always worked for me. I didn't mind the changes. I thought it was enjoyable for what it was. It's nothing special. That's why it's on this guilty pleasures list. But I think it's a really entertaining and really cool film. So that is my number 6. Right, number 5 is Resident Evil, and this is kind of representing the series as a whole. This was a series for many years I really didn't care for. I really didn't like these movies, but I rewatched the whole series not too long ago, and something kind of just flicked for me, and I just really enjoyed them. I found them really entertaining. It had been a long time since I'd seen them, and something I guess about my film taste had changed, where I just fully embraced the movies and had such a good time. They're very formulaic, but it's a formula that works for me. As I say, I think the first one is probably the weakest, and as they go on, they get a bit more crazier and crazier, and I just think they're really entertaining movies. So that is number 5. Right, number 4. This one's a little bit different. Number 4 is Goosebumps. Now, this is on my list because, you know, when you say that, you know, you're a horror fan and you love horror movies, and that, you know, one of the most enjoyable films you've seen is Goosebumps. Some people are like, Goosebumps, but it's like, yeah, man, Goosebumps is such an entertaining movie. It's a great throwback to the books, the old horror books that we had as kids. It really does sort of respect the books and pays great homage to those. But it's just a really fun and entertaining film. Non-stop entertainment. When I watched this, I couldn't believe how entertaining it was. It just doesn't let up. It's such a fun film to watch. And it has a great throwback feel as well. It feels like it's a film from the 80s. But it doesn't rely on having to throw out the fact that it's in the 80s constantly. It isn't set in the 80s. It just has a real awesome kind of retro feel to it. Kind of harks back a little bit like Monster Squad or things like that. And I really enjoy the movie for that. It's rare that kind of a mainstream modern movie is able to capture that spirit. But I think Goosebumps does. You know, and who doesn't want to see a giant werewolf tear up a shopping mall, a supermarket? That's always cool. So number 4 is Goosebumps. Number 3 is Toxic Avenger Part 2. So any of these trauma movies could be on a guilty pleasures list, but this one is a particular favourite of mine because it's the first trauma film I ever saw. I found this in a big box VHS when I was a kid, before I even knew who trauma were. And when I got it, it looked like it was sort of a kid's cartoon, but it had the red 18 rating on it, which is like adults only in the UK. And I couldn't quite comprehend why this kind of cartoonish thing would be an 18. But when I watched it, I absolutely loved it. The combination of juvenile silliness and gory violence meshed together just really worked for me as a young teenager. I really appreciated it. So I always have fond memories of this one. Like I say, it's the first Toxic Avenger movie that I ever saw, and it introduced me to like that trauma, crazy type filmmaking. So I always really enjoy this one. Very nostalgic for me when I go back and watch it. Right, number 2 is Night Beast. One of my favourite B movies of all time. I absolutely love Night Beast. It was made by a guy called Don Dola, who kind of specialised in really low budget, crappy films, but movies that had a lot of heart. And any of his movies actually I consider to be a guilty pleasure, but Night Beast is my favourite. What I love about Night Beast is, although the monster looks kind of crappy and rubbery, they're not afraid to get it out there on screen. Within like 30 seconds, the Night Beast is out and about, killing people, pulling out the guts and things like that, and it is just non-stop entertainment. And I actually really respect the filmmakers for doing that, for not hiding the creature away in the shadows, things like that. So it's very low budget, very badly acted, but if you want to see a crappy rubber monster running around non-stop, one of the best movies for that. So number 2 is Night Beast. And my number 1 guilty pleasure of all time is The Deadly Spawn. Another one of the greatest B-movie monster movies ever made. Very low budget movie, filmed in somebody's basement. Obviously a giant rubber monster, but I absolutely love it. And I love the gore effects in this. It's just a movie that really works for me. I've always enjoyed it since I was a kid. It's kind of everything that I look for in a monster movie as well. So, yeah, definitely my number 1 go-to guilty pleasure is The Deadly Spawn. So, let me know what you think of those choices. Thank you, Renee, for making this tag. I'm going to just tag everyone in general for this. It's a fun one to do. And I'd be interested to see what other people's guilty pleasures are. So thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.